we're going to take a look at Cloud9 versus T1 here on Sunset. First things first, let's take a look at the comps, because I know you're interested in what the meta might be on this map. For me, Raze, Viper, they'll be near like 100% on this map. There's going to be a debate between Chamber and Cypher. Both teams in this game went with the Chamber. There's going to be probably a debate between Sky and Fade. Both teams in this game went with the Sky. And then there's going to be a controller debate, which we're going to somewhat touch on in today's video, between the Omen, which T1 were running, and the Harbor here, which you can see Cloud9 running. Other than that, we're mirror comps just with the controller difference. We're going to start off with the first pistol round here. T1 are attacking, so let's dive into it.
수비도 미드 쪽 들여다볼 준비를 하고 있고요.
그렇죠.
그러니까 지금 이 만족 이거를 통해서 미드 진출의 의지를 꺾어버리거나 저거 넘어서 나오고 싶으면 너네 스킬 써라. 이런 압박감을 수비는 항상 주는 거거든요.
맞습니다. 이게 사이트를 다이렉트로 들어가기에는 좀 힘든 선셋이다 보니까 미드에 대한 그 확보가 그 어느 때보다도 중요한 맵인데 그 부분에 있어서 어떤 식으로 확보를 할지 일단 피스톨 라운드 T1의 공격입니다.
폭포까지 투자해주면서 미드 싸움은 계속 신경전이 오고 가고 있습니다.
네. 자, T1 스카이 체력 채워주면서 서서히 한번 전진해 봅니다.
자, B 시장 쪽에서 제파가 한번 버텨줬고요.
네.
B 보바 쪽으로 모두 빠지면서 이거 사이트 반 갈라놓고서는 그냥 가른 거는 T1인데
네.
이걸 너무나도 자기들 것으로 잘 활용한 클라우드9이고요.
CLC의 반반까지. 클라우드9 깔끔한데요.
잘합니다.
네.
So let's dive into this round then, and what we saw T1 do is a B split, obviously, but we're gonna straight away see some of the problems with Omen, and maybe one of the big advantages of Harbor is that because Omen can't do this on his own and is very inefficient, right? Because there's 3 places to smoke in this, right? And Omen only can have 2 smokes. So Omen can't do this alone. And that creates a problem for your Viper, because Viper is always best used as a pressure tool, right? You want to be putting down like similar Viper setups, like somewhere, you know, across the map and just creating pressure over and over again. Not necessarily having to use the Viper wall for like, this is our smoke, right? Which is what T1 have to do with a Viper wall like this across on this B site. Now, again, for T1, if I'm them, right, I'm saying we've got problems here because I think there's a better way of doing this, right? Like, this is their Viper Orb here, which isn't really doing a ton. And I think if we're committed to, like, this is our round, we're doing a B split, I would say, personally, the better way of doing this is, you know, throw a wall on A to create some kind of presence and pressure there, right? Put your Viper Orb, learn a lineup to get this in mid, and then, you know, Omen Smoke 1, Omen Smoke 2, do a B split, right? That's what I'd say is the better way of doing it, but still, it's much more inefficient than Harbor. Because, of course, Harbor can just do this all on his own, right? He can just send out a cascade, something like this, right? Stop that, you know, around the choke point just there. And then just send a wall in, right? And just, you know, have something that looks like this, right? And you're perfectly fine. And there you go. There's your Harbor wall. This also has a little advantage that, you know, from this angle, which can be a problem for Omens, you can't see over it, which is just another advantage for Harbor. But this allows your Viper to just, you know, do the same setup and create pressure somewhere else on the map. So if we run this round forward then from this point, right, T1, they do come into mid, and, you know, there are parts of this that I actually quite like, right? There are parts of this that I think are quite good, but there are some problems as well, right? So they start to get ready for this B split, and what I like is the timing of some of this utility, right? We've taken B main, you know, pretty cleanly there, you know, without losing anyone. Our Dogs coming in here, right, and our Chamber's ready to follow it, which is great, right? We're going to get this Viper wall coming across now, right? They're coming in, the Boombot's going in, we're going to see an Omen flash across here as well, and you're going to see that the timing of it all is quite nice, right? As they start to come in, you see the dog is coming, the flash is coming at the same time. If there was someone here, they'd be in a ton of trouble, right? So that's all quite nice. Problem is, though, that they put down this Viper wall just here, and you can see it. This Viper wall has just gone down, but obviously the smoke isn't up yet, right? So you have to put the Viper wall down, and then you have to press it again to obviously get the smoke up. And the problem is, Sire is almost going to act like this is a Harbor wall, you know, because he's going to end up a bit ahead here, and Zephyr is going to come down and get this kill. You'll see now just in a second, right? Before this Viper wall ever goes up, C9 managed to get the first kill, right? And so that already puts you on the back foot. And then the second problem is with this kind of like wall here across, right? It's fine. It allows you to kind of come onto the site. They do. But now they're trying to, you know, push through their own smokes here to try and get a bit more space, which again is just kind of, you know, a limitation maybe of this Viper wall, you know, where you can't like obviously curve it like a Harbor wall if you wanted to. And it just, as we saw, it doesn't end up going too well for them, where they end up dying on the site.
제파가 한번 버텨줬고요.
네.
B 보바 쪽으로 모두 빠지면서 이거 사이트 반 갈라놓고서는 그냥 가른 거는 T1인데
네.
이걸 너무나도 자기들 것으로 잘 활용한 클라우드9이고요.
Okay, next round, round number 4, and we're gonna see the benefits here of having an attacking op on this map.
사람 시야가 정면만 보는 건 아니니까.
아 그럼요. 자 이어지는 네 번째 라운드. 자 카르펠 앞선 장면에서 상대 오퍼레이터를 한번 뺏어 왔었습니다. T1. 와 카르펠. 자 그리고 두 번째.
Okay, so we see the pressure come in towards A. We put the trademark down there. The Viper setup is quite interesting from the Viper, right? So we've got Viper Orb over here. This Viper wall creates a lot of pressure on B, and we'll see later on in the round that come to fruition. A Sky Flash is going to come out here as well, and it's all just to get Carpe set up here. Now, I would say to Carpe, you know, big problem he has here is use your TP, my friend, right? Like, that's the whole point of your character, right? You're going to see in a second as we get here, you know, he's there. Now he's going to panic, run away. Instead of panic, running away, like jumping away, hoping that this guy doesn't swing here, like, hey, just put your TP down there and TP away, right? If this was always the plan, just go and use the agent, and it's like one good ability, right? And yeah, so that's a little tip for Carpe, but then you're going to see we're going to come over towards B now, and you're going to see the power of the Viper.
저렇게 확실하게 체인버가 반대쪽에서 뭔가를 해주면은 이제 체인버는 자기가 하고 싶은 대로 해요. 본대 합류거나 반대쪽에서 놀거나.
제키가 하나? 잘 잡았습니다. 연막 내려가고 서로 트레이드. 이거 좋은데요. 와! 자, 하지만 이쪽에 백업 그리고 이주.
So they start coming over towards B, and now this is where the Viper just starts to get OP, right? Because this wall goes up, and this wall just creates a ton of pressure, right? Where if we're in B main, if you aren't in B main, and, you know, you want to be back here, well, you can't see anything. You want to be, you know, anywhere on this part of the site, you can't see anything, right? And the advantage of that is exactly what you see happen in this round, where instead of this being the choke point, right? Instead of this being the part that you can, you know, like we're struggling to get through, now we're just on, and our space is now massive, right? And you'll see it like as we run this round forward that it becomes a problem for the defenders, right? You'll see it in Jake the way he starts aiming, right? He manages to get the first one, but now look, right, he's scanning around. They could be anywhere, right? That's the problem, that their space now has gone from, instead of being just this choke point, right, now it's this big triangle, right, which is a lot more space for the attackers to have and creates a problem for those defenders. Obviously, we see some nice back and forth here. Nice shot by Carpe before he dies. Zephyr does a nice little flash and gets a kill here. Can't quite find the second. We end up in this 2v1, and T1 will manage to convert it.
베니티는 뒤쪽 천천히 옵니다.
자, 베니티의 노련미가 여기서 나올 수 있을까요?
네. 체력 회복하는 와중에서 와! 여지없습니다. T1 2대2를 만듭니다.
Okay, now round number 11, and this is a big WTF round from T1.
다 가져올 수도 있습니다.
네. 자, 6대4입니다. T1이 여전히 리드하고 있고요.
자, 지금 보시면
네.
B 메인 쪽에다가 인도하는 빛을 날려놓고서는 클리어야라는 확신 빨리 지은 다음에 무게중심 오른쪽으로 이동하는 클라우드9이거든요. 근데 미드 투 B 쪽을 생각하고 있어요, T1이.
그리고 그곳에 바이퍼가 위치해 있습니다. 볼 수 있어요. 크게 오나요?
자, 근데 T1이 잘하는 게 이런 거긴 해요. 걸어서 세계 속으로.
네.
이러면은 모든 게 차단됐습니다.
걸어서는 못 가죠.
그렇죠. 대로는 뭔가 써야죠.
예.
도구를.
족시가 2주까지 잡아내면서 6대5가 될 가능성이 높아졌어요.
So Zeta is just going to save from that point, and I'm going to get harsh on T1 here, right? And you might disagree with some of the things I'm about to say, but I really do think this round never had a chance. Okay, so let's talk about it. The first thing is, the very first thing, and the idea that they want to go for, right, is this, right? They want to go for this A split. The way they go about it, I don't think makes any sense, okay? Because the first thing is, again, this is difficult, right? We can all agree that, like, pushing up here in mid, getting across here, and getting down to actually, you know, make this a successful A split, you know, it's like a tricky idea, right? There's multiple things that could go wrong here, right? So the first thing is, I would already say, if this is going to be like the difficult area to take, very much on the kind of defenders, I mean, it literally is on the defenders' side of the barriers, right? So it's always going to be tricky to take anything like that. The first thing is, I would say, you got one initiator, you probably want your initiator for doing that, right? Like, just as kind of a basic point, right? You probably, if you're only running one initiator, you probably want that one initiator helping you take the part of the map that's going to be the hardest to take, right? But they don't. Instead, they put the Viper Wall on B, and again, I would say, and they were putting that Viper Wall on A sometimes, so it's not like this would have been a giveaway tell that this is what they were doing. But, you know, I think, you know, swapping the Viper and the Sky here, and yeah, you're at that point hoping that this guy doesn't, like, quickly run out of B main. you know, yeah, that's a problem with this round. If they do that, unlucky, I guess. But that to me would be the first thing, is come and put your Viper setup on A, put the Sky in mid, and, you know, have the Sky to come and take this. I think would probably be a better way of doing it to start off with. But, you know, there's still a chance for success here, right? So they put the smoke in mid, they come and take this early part of mid, right? Here's the thing, you're going to see this Omen walk up here, like, pretty close to this chamber trap. Surely you can hear that chamber trap, right? Like, you're this close. I would imagine there's no way you can't, like, hear it, you know, going off or whatever. So just keep that in mind for what they do next as well, right? Because then a flash is going to come out and see them, right? So Xeppaa flashes out here in mid and it sees them. So, okay, let's think about what you've just seen, right? You've seen a Sky Flash come from this direction. It's seen you. You know that a chamber trap is here, right? You should suspect that, okay, someone has to be watching this, right? And okay, they're going to run into the op. But I think when you know that someone is there, right, and potentially you've seen that chamber trap, you might even think that multiple people are here on this kind of crossfire, contacting up like this. And yeah, okay, unlucky, you ran into the op. Yeah, that's unfortunate, but still, contacting up like this, I don't think is the way to go, right? I just don't, you know, we aren't using any smoke for it. We aren't using any utility whatsoever. We're just walking up. And the problem is not even necessarily, okay, you could say, you know, it might have worked had they got that first kill. Sure, whatever. The second problem is, I'm not sure they use any util here either. Now, maybe they use a raise nade or something. I'm not sure, right? But, you know, again, no smoke, no flash. And Whippy is able to get a second kill here, right? And yeah, they get a kill over on A. That's great. But again, to me, this is just like, there's just so many things that could go wrong, right? This dog comes out here. And again, it would have been very reasonable for Xeppaa after this flash went off to stay here, right? He's got the chamber trap in here. They actually go for a Viper spit then in B main, right? It would have been pretty reasonable that Xeppaa might have stayed here. And at which point, how were you expecting, like, if he was here, to ever get past it? Like, what was going through your head thinking, yeah, we can do that, right? Like, I don't know. It seems like there's so many things that could go wrong, right? Even if this wasn't an op. They never did anything to deal with this angle. They never did anything to deal with this, really, right? They just contacted in, died to an op, continued going, died to an op again, and now we end up here. The dog chases the Omen, and now our Omen is scrambling in a bad spot with full kit of utility, right? And we got everything here. We could do so much, right? We could even ult. If we really wanted to get, like, really wacky with it and get, like, creative with it, right? We could have even, you know, tried to come up here and then ult back here and then do this, right? If we really wanted to, if we're really feeling it and we're in the off season, right? So to me, this never really had a chance if you're T1. And even with an Omen, I think this is tricky anyway with an Omen anyway, you know, to do this kind of round that they're doing. I think that doing this A-split with an Omen is going to be very difficult no matter what you do, pretty much, because there's gonna be a lot of things that could go wrong. And this is where Harbor, I think, is gonna just be better as well for this idea, right? Where we're coming in, we're putting in a cascade just there, and then, you know, we're coming into mid like we did, and we can come and put a Harbor wall across this. Again, with the Omen smokes, we'd only have one, right? So it might be a bit tricky to do that. And even I think you can come and put a cove down here on the floor as well to help you, you know, get there and get through here, you know, flash out of this, and it's just gonna protect you from any spam back from across there. And so now you're already, like, coming in and you're ready to just do this exec and do an actual successful A split. And then to finish off here, I'm going to show you now a C9's B split with a Harbor and what that looks like.
B 시장이 되었든 B 메인이 되었든 어딘가를 수비는 쥐고 가야 돼요.
근데 이제 공식 채널에서
그럼요.
그 음지 유튜버분 언급하시면
제가 실수했죠. 또.
네네네네. 사과드리도록 하겠습니다.
네, 저도 사과드릴게요.
네. 자, 제파입니다.
I suggest you move.
찍혔습니다만 킹은 여전히 건재합니다. 버텨내고 있어요. 쉐리프 한방 못 보여줬고
야.
제파가 오히려 뒤를 끌어냈습니다.
그러니까 T1도 알기 때문에 이 메인에 대한 중요도를 알기 때문에 이런 수비를 한 건데
네.
화력에서 밀리니까 뭐 어쩔 수
So we saw that Omen B split at the start not work that too well, but this one obviously for C9 does go very well. It is against an eco, but we see some very similar things, right? So Cascade up at the top of mid there, but the big difference for running the Harbor versus the Omen is that we are able to do our Viper Wall and Viper Orb here on A. And I just want you to take a look at this round. That puts a lot of pressure on these guys, and it's going to keep two players here, right? That's the important thing. That just this Viper setup going up on its own and having everything here keeps 2 players here, right? Which means we only have to deal with 3 for this B split, right? There is no like fast rotation. Oh yeah, we can see that there's nothing on A, get 1 player here, everyone else rotate across towards B and get ready for a B split. You know, no, that's not going on. These 2 are going to stay here for a very long time, pretty much up until it's too late, right? And again, I like what they do here overall. C9, it's a good exec. The dog comes in, sees them early, pushed up here in B main, right? So they know that that's going to be a problem. In goes the harbor wall that comes across just here, right? In goes this harbor ult. I mean, this harbor ult, my goodness, right? Look at how good this harbor ult is. Literally covers everything on the B site. You know, eco or not, you're in a lot of trouble if you're facing against this. And really the only thing for C9 to do once this harbor ult comes in and, you know, doesn't start spotting anyone is that they know, okay, there's going to be a lot of pressure here in B main. So really it's just up to these guys to try and win this fight. They get some good snake bites as we saw from Vanity in here. Nice flash coming in here as well, right? Blind's king. And they managed to, you know, pick across these kills. There's the snake bite, right? Nice little kill there, and they're in onto the B site. And so you can just see again, like the pressure that it caused over towards A. It's not even necessarily that, you know, it's all to do with Harbor. Really, a lot of it is to what it allows the Viper to do in putting up this setup, creating a lot of pressure, keeping these guys here. Look, we're already in on this site, right? A lot of time has passed, and these guys are nowhere near us yet. You know, it's only this raise that's even close, and now C9 will go and win in this post plan.
에 대한 중요도를 알기 때문에 이런 수비를 한 건데
네.
화력에서 밀리니까 뭐 어쩔 수 없는 결과값인 거고요.
완전히 생각을 하지 못하고 있었습니다. 세야 플레이어까지 끌어내면서 무결점 직전. 이주가 무결점만은 안 된다. 하지만 옥시가 이주를 잘라.
And so there it is, just a little video pointing out some of the things that Harbor can do that maybe Omen can't. And of course, Omen has his own advantages as well, right? With some of the one-ways and stuff like that. But I think that, you know, the one-ways will find less value in general because double controller is going to be the meta on this map, right? So when you've got double controller, you know, those one-ways might not find as much value as maybe they would otherwise. And so that could be a problem for Omen as well in general, right? So maybe Harbor will be the direction that teams should be going in. I do think that Harbor is kind of underrated right now, and I think is pretty strong, especially when paired with the best agent in the game, in my opinion, Viper. And so Harbor, I think, does have a pretty good chance on Sunset, and you can perhaps get a bit more creative with some of the ideas that you can do.